And good morning. Coffee. Difficult subject today, and I'll get some backlash from some people, but I told myself I have to be okay with that. And that's kind of what this whole thing is about, getting backlash from people on social media and having to be okay with it. So remember the 70s where metal and especially punk and rock was supposed to be rebellious? Remember the 60s where the Beatles were doing anti-war stuff in songs and, remember the 80s, remember the 90s, remember the 2000s when Pink had a song criticizing President Bush. And don't we wish we had someone that stupid? Don't we wish we had someone on that level of intelligence and not what we have? We thought we had it bad back then. So remember when Pink made that song? It was still in the 2000s somewhere. I argue that we don't do that anymore. We can't do that anymore unless we have a lot more balls than back then. So let's say the 70s, punk, rebellious, government bad, everyone bad. So the songs were that. The songs were about rebellion against the establishment. Remember Rage Against the Machine? Where is the Rage Against the Machine song that we need now? If at any given point in time we needed music to make us angry and argue the points for us, it is now. Not just in the US where you could write album after album after album and you still wouldn't be done arguing points against this and that and demolishing that, destroying that, allying with that. But in many places, Germany right now as well, we got 20% AfD. That's the blue party. It's not the good blue, it's the bad blue. I hate that they picked that color. That's just, again, my personal opinion, but that's what it is about. A band, people finding each other because of common ideas, and then music was always a way to rebel against the establishment. Now, maybe I don't know what's going on. Maybe I don't listen to enough music, but that's also the point. We have a completely saturated music market, right? Completely, utterly saturated. So you can stay within your niche very easily. Back in the day, you had a few albums that came out each week or month. You had, so much less content, we would call it today. And you did stumble across the relevant stuff. Radio was not what it is today. Now, do we even have, we have radio, but it's not the same thing. We got streaming and internet radio, and everyone's got their own little niche where they can hide and not necessarily know what's going on in the world, let's say, of music. But by not knowing what's happening in the world of music, back in the day, you kind of didn't know what was going on in the world of politics because music was reflecting and rebelling against politics in a way. So I'm sure there are people writing songs about what's going on right now and saying, stop this. But I don't think they're heard on a level in terms of reach, which is weird because we get so much easier reach nowadays. Global reach within seconds, right? Instagram, Facebook, Pornhub, whatever. We have so much reach right now, but because it is so much more targeted reach, you don't actually have the reach. So the Sex Pistols wouldn't necessarily get their song heard by enough people. Rage Against the Machine would have some YouTube video and, it would be heard, but it wouldn't be Killing in the Name of, right? So maybe those songs exist, I just don't know about them. Where is the Dear Mr. President from Pink? Where's Pink when you need her with her killer songwriting skills writing another Dear Mr. President right fucking now. I don't know. But here's my argument. Social media has a grasp is not the right word. Social media has a thumb on us. So, back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, you released a song like that, and you did it, and you did not know what your audience thought. You might have noticed it years later based on album sales going down because a certain group of your fan base decided to boycott you, like when the Dixie Chicks said Trump doesn't represent their state. Not Trump. Bush. When they said Bush doesn't represent their state, there was some backlash, and radio stations were boycotting the Dixie Chicks. You know, more like conservative radio stations. But yeah, there was some rather immediate backlash, but not in the way that we have it today. Remember, Pink, in the 2000s, there was no YouTube. There was no Facebook back then, or maybe just coming out. Definitely no Instagram. We didn't have that immediate social media backlash. And my argument is, people that wanted to rebel in the 70s, they did it. They wrote a song, you know, fuck you, whatever the Prime Minister of England was, okay? And that was rebellion against the establishment. Mirroring what some of their fan base was also thinking and strengthening their resolve in also rebelling against it because they knew that one of their favorite bands had their backs. But if you did that now, back then, they wouldn't have known who hated on it and how many sales they lost because of it. Now, there is an immediate backlash on Insta. Everything gets blown up immediately on social media, and you know exactly who of your fan base or of your allies you alienated and who's turning their back on you. Now, it takes an incredibly strong human being to not care about that and do the right thing, right? Nowadays, I think people tread lightly. They are much more careful. Now, with what's happening in the US right now, a thing to send a message would be to write protest songs. What I could do on the channel, I could say, not because they're, bad companies or whatever, stop buying American products for a while and do a boycott, just like there are boycotts of, Walmart or Target and Amazon. I could say that. But what that would mean, because this isn't just seen by my target audience, if I said stop buying Fender, Gibson, stop buying Gibson anyway, Boutique Amps Distribution, Keeley, Chase Bliss, all these companies, first of all, some of them are my friends, right? So I wouldn't feel right recommending that because we're now so globally connected, because globalism is a good thing. We are connected as human beings. That I feel very close to them, and I wouldn't feel right in a time where it's not easy for them to then, pour gasoline on the fire, just because they're American. So that wouldn't feel right. But also, it would impact my earnings because I get paid by these companies. So if I say stop buying these companies, it would literally destroy my channel. But also, I know that, a bunch of you watching me wouldn't share those ideas and also, are Americans who don't think that what's going on right now is extremely, extremely frightening. So I would be afraid of losing subs, backlash from my community, because that isn't invisible backlash, it's visible. I can see the subs drop, I can see the comments come in, and they can be very hurtful, and they would be. So if I did something like that, I would feel immediate consequences. And I don't think I've got the balls to do that. So I also don't think, it would solve anything, but it would be in my tiny little bubble something I could do. But I don't feel it's the right thing to do. Now, even a protest song, I could easily put in one of my videos where I've got songs all over the place, put in a song that is a protest song against what's going on right now. But again, immediate backlash. Will there be companies that stop working with me because they don't agree with me? Will there be fans dropping off? And if I was a more brave person, I wouldn't care about that. But I have bills to pay. So yeah, money rules, and there is no protest song from me. Now, I think that applies to a lot of the bands. Where's Green Day? Where's Green Day? American Idiot. That came out at a time where you didn't have that massive social media machine. Where's the American Idiot that we need now? Because we have an American Idiot. Bunch of them. We also have millions of smart, reasonable, kind Americans. We always have to. I lived in the States for almost 10 years. And I have many, many, many friends that are very good people. Okay? It's not Americans that's the problem. And again, this is not about America. We got shit happening in Germany, got shit happening in Ukraine, there's shit happening everywhere. Shit happening in Italy. Okay. But my point is, because of social media pressure and immediate awareness of the consequences of your actions, I think musicians have lost their rebelliousness. Where is the Green Day song that we need? Where's punk when you need it? Are they doing it and I'm just not aware of it? Please link below. Obviously, please comment below. I know this was political, but it was more really about us being more timid. We're all loud on Facebook, I get that. We're all loud on, and we yell at each other in comments. But people that are making their money with musical content, video content, where the video content isn't about the politics. There are, of course, political YouTube channels that go in one direction or another, and they make their money by being partisan. But a band or someone like me doing anything rebellious or critical could be detrimental to our income, our fan base. And I think in a time where we were not so connected, like the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, music was much more vocal about the issues. Or I'm just not informed enough. That could be. So let me know what you think in the comments. And animals at the end.